Coming up on USL Pro Weekly, Orlando is back on top of the heap, but challengers sit closely behind. Who might be sitting pretty when Sunday morning rolls around? The Wilmington Hammerheads claimed a dramatic victory on the road in Pittsburgh. We spoke with Daniel Lovitz about his return to North Carolina and Toronto FC. The Harrisburg City Islanders are gearing up for their home opener. We talk with Jason Pelletier about a new season on the island. All this and much more on this edition of USL Pro Weekly. Welcome in to the latest edition of USL Pro Weekly. My name's Nicholas Murray. Very pleased to be joined again this week by Jake Edwards. Jacob, welcome back.
Thank you.
And by David Wagner. David, how are you doing this week?
Fantastic. Ready to get going here.
Well, yeah, because there's a lot to get to. We had a very busy week of action, a very busy weekend, and we've got a new league leader. It's a familiar face. It's Orlando City. They took a 1-0 win against the Charleston Battery on Saturday night. Kobe Spann scores the only goal in his first game for the Lions on loan from FC Dallas. I think Orlando, on the whole, happier with this performance than they were with the win the previous week against Rochester. Seemed a little more fluid, seemed less error-prone, and they were able to get the goal against a very good, very stubborn Charleston defence that was really holding them at bay for the first hour or so.
I think so. It was better from Orlando. They're slowly kind of working into it. I was a little surprised actually by their slow start this season, given they really had a proper preseason with some good friendlies early on. Obviously, they played some MLS competition down there in Orlando at the Disney Classic. But they're finally getting into it a little bit more. Going forward, they were clicking a little bit. Their movement and their passing. I remember when we were at their home opener a few weeks ago, Jake and I were sitting there and we were noticing even some of the gaps going back and forth, between the forwards and the midfield, and the spacing was a little bit off. So I think the interplay is better between the side, and anytime that they play Charleston, it's always going to be a tough physical affair. So coming out with a 1-0 result is a good result against Charleston.
It definitely is, and it really sets things up nicely for them because now they get this weekend off, and they head off to the Midwest, the Southern Midwest next week, where you have a game against FC Dallas Reserves next Tuesday, and then what is setting up to be a very intriguing game against the OKC Energy for their home opener on Saturday, April 26th. Energy, very nice win this week, 4-0 against Arizona United. This is a team that seems to be going from strength to strength and is picking up steam as it moves towards that home opener.
Yeah, that's going to be a great game. I'll be at that game, the OKC home opener against Orlando. So it's going to be a fantastic game to kick off their their home campaign, let's say. But Orlando go from strength to strength, without doubt. They've had a great start to the season. Adrian will be really pleased with where they are now. They've had a couple of decent performances, but that was more of a comprehensive performance, I think, against Charleston. Kept a clean sheet and wore down a first for the season as well, which you don't necessarily expect that to be the case with Orlando. They've always been a very well-drilled side defensively. It's a little bit of a surprise that it's taken them 4 games to get that first shutout. Well, they always score far more than they concede.
There is that.
So, they're going in the right direction, top of the table. They'll be very pleased for that. With everything else that's going on in that club at the moment, both certainly off the field with all the preparations they're making. So to keep the concentration levels and keep winning, they've been doing a fantastic job. Yep, heading to Dallas, then off to OKC. So tough place to go. Looking forward to that match. OKC have started equally strong. They'll be very pleased with where they are. They're playing Dallas tonight. If they can get a win there, they go top of the league. So it could be a big proverbial 6-pointer.
Definitely could be. I mean, as you mentioned, we're recording this late on Tuesday afternoon. Oklahoma City is getting ready to play FC Dallas tonight. Can't really talk about that one very much as a result, but what we can talk about is Saturday's performance, where Arizona United certainly held their own for most of the first half. Unfortunately, got the sending off late in the first half with London Woodbury getting sent off. But Oklahoma City was clinical in that second half, taking advantage of the extra man that they had. 4 different goal scorers. Stephen Perry grabs a goal. And the 2 guys that I think really looked good, Kyle Miller, coming up from defence, really pushing on well, down that left side for them. And then Ada Jazili, who named to the team of the week, and he's been a guy that I think has really opened some eyes in Oklahoma City. I know he's become a fan favorite among the supporters group there. He's a very exciting player to watch, and someone that Orlando will have to pay attention to next week.
Yeah, they have some good ones on that side. Obviously, you come out, you're a new team. There's a learning curve trying to get out there. You haven't played any matches together. But they do have some good young faces, and mixed in with some names we know, a guy like a Gareth Evans or somebody like that that's been around the league that knows how it works here. So they're mixing in some of those new faces with some of the talent there, and I think they are going to be a dangerous side this season.
Another key guy, a guy we talked with recently, Michael Thomas, who's the captain, really providing a lot of assists. I think he picked up a couple of assists in the game against Arizona United. He's among the league leaders for that right now. He's providing some nice central creativity for that side.
Yeah, Michael Thomas, obviously they have a nice Kansas City influence going on there. Obviously Jimmy Nielsen, the coach, Michael Thomas, you have Christian Duke on loan, you have John Kempen in goal. So, and correct me if I'm wrong too, I believe they have another Kansas City gentleman that they've signed as well.
The youngster Andrew Lighty, who picked up his first professional assist on the goal by Stephen Perry. He's a very interesting case and one to watch, really, because he's a guy that was in Sporting Kansas City's academy, turned 18. Instead of going to college, he decided to turn pro with OKC Energy. This is a kid that maybe in a couple of years' time he'll be going back up the road to Sporting Park and may become a contributor for SKC somewhere down the line, even though not officially on loan. But there's just that link there where I'm pretty sure Peter Vermees and the SKC staff will be keeping an eye on his progress.
I think if you look at, let's talk about him, but let's just talk about a trend in general that you're seeing in the league. You're seeing a lot of young, dynamic talents in the league this year, and not just because you have a club like LA in the league this year that has some of their academy products on it, but just in general with some of the other teams that might not have the built-in academy system. There's a lot of guys that are foregoing that college opportunity because they know that coming to USL Pro and getting that professional playing experience is a really valuable thing, and the quality of this league is fantastic for helping them to get where they want to be in their professional career. So combining in those talents like that is just a fantastic opportunity for these guys.
We're definitely seeing that with a couple of the loans. We'll talk a little bit about Wilmington in a while, because they've obviously got a couple of candidates there with Quillen Roberts and Manny Aparicio. But I think what you've hit on here is Oklahoma City and then their fellow expansion partner, Sacramento, are both teams that have kind of gone out and done this. They've grabbed guys who are 18, 19 years old, just come out of their academies, and they're bringing them into a pro environment so that they can learn and grow. Instead of having to go to college and be part of that setup, they're learning to be professionals at a younger age. I think that's going to accelerate their growth as players.
Yes, we'll have to be careful here. We're getting on a dangerous ground with this topic, but I'm a believer we're going to see more of that. You're going to see a lot more players bypassing college, and we've already seen that over the last few years. The top players are not in college anymore. They don't play there. They're going straight into the MLS, into the pro ranks.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see that in our league for the benefit of the teams. I think we'll see a lot more of that. Some very exciting young players coming in, and I'm a big believer in the college education and college system over here, and the fact that you can be a good player and have that potential scholarship to do that. I'm a big believer in that. But in terms of development of players to put us on a par with what's going on as their counterparts are in other countries at the same age, you're 4 years behind. There's no doubt about that.
And I know, Nicholas, you usually ask the questions, but Jake, you played in USL. Can you just maybe stop for a second and just talk about what the level of play you see is now versus maybe what it was like 10 years ago, as far as how the game runs and just sort of a comparison between the two of them.
So you're looking back with rose-tinted glasses. Of course it was better in those days. No, it was different because you're talking late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah. And prior to that I was playing at university in the sort of early to mid 90s over here.
Yeah.
And that was when all the top players had to go to university. So
yeah.
I think that was a different level then, when I see college games now. But USL Pro then, I think we had probably more older players, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
There was more, certainly, the teams I was on and playing against, there seemed to be a bit more older players. There's quite a young, there's a much more younger average age group now. But the quality, there's no difference in the quality. I mean, the players were still good players back then. certainly at the time at Charleston, they had a lot of players from overseas, as they do now. But generally, they were slightly a bit older. They played abroad. They played in pro leagues. We didn't have players bypassing college and coming straight into the pros then. That was a bit unheard of. But I think that's a trend we're going to see a lot more of, and I think it's a good thing.
Well, speaking of Sacramento, since I brought them up in that last topic, they are the reason that Orlando City is top of the league, because they took a very nice 3-0 win against the LA Galaxy 2 on Sunday, handed the Galaxy 2 their first loss. Very solid defensively. You had a couple of guys in Max Alvarez and Dakota Collins who picked up their first professional goals. 2 former FC Tucson players moving their way up the system. So great for them to see that. And that was very impressive indeed, because coming off a loss on Saturday night against Orange County, an Orange County side that really needed that win. I mean, it was a very, very different performance. I thought there was better energy from the Blues. And then Stephen Okai with his second spectacular free kick of the season to give them the victory. This is a nice bump for the Blues.
Great result for the Blues. I'm glad. I don't pick favourites, but it was nice to see them get a win and score some goals. A fantastic free kick. I think it was his second free kick. He scored a lovely one in the opening game as well.
Yeah.
So very dangerous. You'll be watching not to foul him around the box, but. Good to see them get off the mark. Good for the confidence of the players. We said this before. They're a playoff team last year. A good side. They just need to get a run of games together, and they'll be on their way. Sacramento, with the receiving end of that. But credit to them. And 24 hours later to go against a top team with LA Galaxy and to take 3 points, beating them. Convincingly 3-0. Some good goals, great performance. So it's a good show of character for Sacramento to bounce back from that loss.
And a heck of a wonder goal on that first goal too for Sacramento against LA.
I'm not sure. I mean, Mickey Daly has scored a through ball.
That was the back heel.
scored a couple of really great goals because he broke the offside traps against Orange County and flicked home a nice finish there. But that sort of, what it reminded me of? This will show my age a little bit, but I remember when George Weah was playing for Milan back in the late 1990s, and he would do that. He would have this trick where the ball would come to him waist high. He would lift his leg up, flick it over his head, run onto it, spin around the defender. It reminded me of that, with just flick it off your ankle, loop it over your head, loop it over the goalie into the corner of your net.
Yeah, it was great. It was great improvisation. You saw it there. He didn't even think twice. Just bang it and see what happens. And he's just caught the keeper off his line. I mean, some guys would try and turn, swivel, volley that in, and it'll land in the 15th row somewhere. But it was a lovely bit of skill. It was really nice to see.
Now, that was a great game, but I think the game of the weekend, Saturday night at Highmark Stadium, where the Wilmington Hammerheads took a 4-3 win against the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Some great goals in this one as well. The free kick by Daniel Lovitz to give Wilmington a 2-0 lead before halftime. Perfect corner kick. Matt Dolman, Andrew Marshall, Jose Angulo for Pittsburgh. A couple of great drives from outside the penalty area, including the one by Kevin Kerr that made it 4-3. And then a little bit of drama late on with the disallowed offside goal by Joseph Ngueno. I know the Riverhounds fans definitely thought that should have stood, but terrific entertainment and a really good win for Wilmington on the road to add to a solid point at home against Harrisburg in their opening game.
Yeah, we said this, didn't we, on our last podcast? It was going to be it was the one we were looking forward to watching. It was going to be an electric atmosphere. It was more than a sellout. I think it was standing room only. So it was a fantastic atmosphere. Steel Army were unbelievable, fantastic voice to help create that atmosphere, and what a game! A lot of great advert for the league. Some great goals, lots of goals.
Yep.
And obviously Justin and the boys will be disappointed. Home opener, you wanted to get the result there, and Wilmington have come in and snuck it. But there'll be a lot of positives to take home.
I think there's two things that I agree from a Pittsburgh perspective. There's definitely some question marks and some things they still need to address going into the their next set of matches here. Defensively is their biggest problem. They have lots of big names on offense and guys who can push the ball forward and get it done, whether it's some of the newer faces that just came in like a Brian Owenby, or some of the proven commodities like an Angulo, or obviously Colin John done it at a high level as well. So there's some big names that can score goals. You mentioned Nguyen as well, almost had the winner, just called back. But defensively, still a bit out of sorts. They need to stop the leakage here, because obviously dropping points a couple weeks in a row and some games where they dominated possession for quite a few periods, and and you're not able to come away with 3 points can be very frustrating. So getting that ship in order is, I think, the first thing that they need to address. But going to the other side for Wilmington, credit to them, come in, score some big goals, and whatever it seemed like Pittsburgh was just getting back in the game, they would come back and score again. So just a fantastic win for Pittsburgh, especially on the road, and what's probably going to be one of the toughest places to come away with points this season.
Definitely is, and I mean, a very big win for Wilmington. I think if you said Pittsburgh was going to score 3 goals in its home opener, you would expect Pittsburgh to win that game. And
Agreed.
it's a little bit of I think it's a disappointment that they didn't. On the flip side of that, Wilmington, really positive display, getting good performances out of especially the guys that they've got in on loan. Manny Aparicio put in a nice shift in attack. You had Daniel Lovitz with a goal and an assist. And speaking of Daniel Lovitz, we got the chance to talk to him about coming on loan to Wilmington, returning to Carolina as a former Elon player, and also a little bit of entertainment. I mean, he's on loan from Toronto FC, and that's been a very interesting story in MLS. That interview will be coming up just after this break. Well, we're very pleased to be joined now by Jason Pelletier of the Harrisburg City Islanders. Jason, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Well, first of all, new season, home opener coming up this weekend against Dayton. I'm pretty sure everyone on City Island's pretty excited for that.
Oh, I definitely think so, as well as the team is. Super excited to get back and play in front of the home fans.
You guys have been on the road against Wilmington a couple of weeks ago. You managed to get a 0-0 draw out of that game, but going back and watching the videotape, watching the highlights, definitely seemed like you guys are going to be a very exciting team to watch this year. You've got some really interesting new additions, including the guy that really stood out to me, Clesio Balquet. There's been a transition this year for you guys, but it seems like things are meshing nicely.
Yes, definitely. Already, like you said, one game in, I think we played very well in the first game. I think if we finish some of our chances, it's even a better game for us. I mean, we come out still with a draw, which is good, against Wilmington on the road in our first game, their home opener. So I definitely think we're doing pretty well right now. It can still be better. Obviously, we all are super excited for this year because, like you said, we have some pieces that came in that are really taking our team to the next level and helping us out, the guys that were there last year.
Well, it definitely seems like you've got some nice solid continuity as well with guys like yourself, Nick Noble coming back, and also a couple of the guys that were on loan last year, and Jimmy McLaughlin and Chris Hernandez also. How have you been able to incorporate the new guys into the squad this quickly?
I just think with just themselves, with their talent alone, has helped it, and just the chemistry and the atmosphere of the guys, just the attitude of the guys, I think has helped the new guys come in. I mean, we're all very welcoming. We have one goal this year to win the championship, and I think that we're all on the same page with that. And that just started from day one. I mean, training has been very competitive, has been very good, and I just think we're taking that from training onto the playing field.
It definitely feels as though USL Pro is more competitive than it was a season ago. Have you been looking around the league and looking at some of the other results, some of the other games, and looking at that competition? And do you feel as though you're up to that challenge?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, anytime we can, we're going to go on YouTube and watch any amount of games as we can because, I mean, like you said, we want to be able to see those other teams and know what we have to compete with. And just, I've watched a few. I haven't seen every team play. Great talent. I mean, great talent in the league. It keeps getting better year by year. I think this year is even going to be by far better with the loans and with the talent we have this league. And with that, I just think that it's going to take off. The USL Pro is going to be a very good league this year, and we're definitely up for the challenge. We train each day to try to make sure that we're ready for any game, whether it's Orlando, whether it's Richmond, whoever it is.
You've obviously been with the City Islanders for a long time now. What is it about this club that keeps you coming back year after year and have basically become a fixture within the local community?
Well, first, I grew up 15 minutes away from where we are located. So playing in front of the hometown and family and friends, I mean, there's nothing better than doing that. That's definitely what keeps me around. And just the whole organization, from the coaching staff to GMs to owners to everything. It's a tight-knit group. It's a family. So I just like how everyone is treated here, and it definitely keeps me coming back.
With that in mind, obviously the club in the preseason announced plans to renovate and kind of regenerate City Stadium Skyline Sports Complex. Being as a long-time Islander, how exciting is that to see the club pushing on into the future?
Oh, I think it's awesome. I mean, you have to prepare for the future, and I think they're doing a very good job of that. It's definitely long overdue. I think that the atmosphere is great there. I just think the field and the stadium, what holds that atmosphere, needs to be a little bit better. And I think they're taking the right steps towards that, which is awesome.
How big has the partnership between the Union and the City Islanders been, not just from a playing aspect, but from helping the City Islanders grow and especially helping with off-the-field stuff?
Well, it's awesome. I mean, they help any which way they can. I know they have guys that actually come down and help with our field, and I know our coaching staff and the GMs are always talking to their owners and GMs and just figuring out how to get everything the best it can be. I mean, in the MLS, everything has to be professional, and we as a affiliate want to just stem from what Philly does. So very professional, and we just do try to not imitate, but they give us a little bit of guidance, and just especially as far as players, I think 4 or 5, maybe even 6 of them. I mean, we're in trial with the Philadelphia Union, and then came down, and now they're with us. It's huge, and it's just going to continue to help in the future with not only like you said, the players, but also the organization itself.
Is it fun to see some of the guys that have come down to City Island, like an Aaron Wheeler or an Antoine Hoppeneau, kind of go back to Philadelphia and become the contributors that they have, especially this season?
Yeah, it's awesome to see that stuff. I mean, when they come down and play a couple of games, you become friends with them, so you want to see them do well, and it's good. Like you said, I mean, Aaron Wheeler has been pretty much starting in the back, playing center back, and Antoine is a great player, very dynamic, and plays a lot. So I think it's good building that relationship with them, and then being able to see them do well. Just like with Leo Fernandez came down with one game, and then now he's killing it with free kicks and doing well. And it's good to see those guys that you, as I said, maybe roomed with on an away trip or something like that.
You've been around Bill Betcher for a long time. He earned his 100th win as a coach last season. What's your favorite thing about him as a coach and also as a guy away from the game?
He's a great guy to be around. I mean, the coach that you want to be able to go and talk to him whenever you can, and he's going to be honest with you. I mean, he's not going to tell you what you want to hear. He's going to tell you what you need to know to get better, and I think that's what really steps out from him. He's honest. He'll let you know what you need to work on, what you're doing. If you're doing well, he'll let you know that. As far as off the field, I get he's the head guy of our club for LDC, and I get to be around him pretty much. And he's a great family man, great dad. I see him always with his kids. Kids come to the games, which I mean, that has to be cool. As growing up as a young kid, being able to go to professional soccer games and seeing it down on the sideline. So he's good with that. He's a great husband, and it's awesome to be able to just hang out with them and stuff, their family out of off the field as well. Like I said, it goes back to this whole team, this whole organization being one tight group, and that definitely helps.
Dayton's coming in this Saturday for the home opener. What's the biggest challenge that the Dutch Lions are going to pose you guys?
I just think defensively, they work well defensively. They're a good pressuring team. We're definitely ready to go home field. It's definitely going to be exciting, and I hope we have a good crowd and a good atmosphere for Dayton when they come in.
Well, Jason, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really appreciate it, and best of luck this week. Best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you, guys. Take care, Nick. Thanks for having me.
Now, obviously, we had late drama in Wilmington's win against Pittsburgh, but that wasn't the only game that had late drama this past weekend, with the Charlotte Eagles rallying back to take a 2-1 win against the Richmond Kickers thanks to Jorge Herrera's 89th minute winner. Another great goal. If you haven't checked this one out, make sure you go and check out the USL PRO Goals of the Week video, because this one was absolutely perfect. Drew Yates with a couple of assists, and really, I thought was the catalyst, really pushed forward from midfield very, very well indeed throughout the second half. And a big bounce-back win for Charlotte after dropping their home opener to Dayton. This is the sort of game that will get the Eagles on track early in the season.
Yeah, showed a lot of character to come back, but we knew the team has the character to do this and the talent to take on a Richmond side who were scoring goals for fun, in the last few games. So, they kept him, didn't keep a clean sheet, but they kept him to 1 this time, which is better than some of the other teams had managed to do. So there was really, they really played well. And the belief they have in that side, they were a good side, and they were in the championship final last year. They got a lot of the same players and some fantastic new players. So. We knew there'd be a force to be reckoned with. It seemed like they got it right on the night, and a fantastic, potentially goal of the season candidate, or certainly goal of the month candidate.
Well, maybe a goal of the month candidate. Although I think I already have a favourite on that, and I think that's Sacramento's third goal against Chivas USA. That glorious lob. Yeah. But we'll talk about that a bit more later in the month. Dayton, on Friday night, they hosted their home opener, and they were able to grab a late goal through Joe Brookhausen to get a 1-1 draw against the Rochester Rhinos. Now, I thought this was a really positive performance by the Rhinos. I thought they certainly had chances to maybe put the game away. JC Banks definitely looks like he's back to his best going forward. But Dayton, again, as they did last year, they find ways to score goals late in games. They cut all hands to the pump, and Brookhausen is a great guy to have as an option to bring off the bench, where he's a guy who's 6'5", big body, he's difficult for defenders to handle. And obviously, he did enough to win the header against Louis Soffner. I think there was a case here that the Rhinos might have felt a little bit hard done by. What do you think about it, David?
Yeah, it's a tough call. I mean, we've had some tough ones this year for the officials to make. Come in anytime there's a challenge in the box, goalkeeper, ball up in the air. It could have went either way. Unfortunately for the Dayton Dutch Lions, they let play continue and they scored a goal on it. So I definitely see Rochester's side of it. I think if you're in their shoes, that you feel a little aggrieved, but at the same time, the referee judged it to not be anything, and that's how that's how it goes sometimes.
I think it definitely was one of those 50-50 calls that it's one of those grey area ones where the attacker's trying to go straight up in the air, he's trying to win possession, you've got the goalie's hands there. Does the goalie have possession of the ball before the attacker's head meets it? So it was definitely one where you wouldn't have been shocked if it had been called as a foul. But credit to the Dutch Lions for pushing on and creating their own luck there and grabbing that late equaliser.
Yeah, you got to, the refs have to protect the goalkeepers. They're putting themselves in harm's way, and they have to, err on the side of the goalkeeper in most of these cases. But, as a former striker myself, I have to say that that used to frustrate me quite a bit, because you have to jump up and you have to challenge for the ball. And sometimes the keepers do get hit, and it's quite rightly so that it is a foul, and sometimes they don't, and they make a meal of it, and they get the call, and that would frustrate the heck out of you, because if it happens on in the middle of the field, you're jumping up with a defender, the amount of defenders that come in the back of your head with an elbow or whatever, and that's part of the game. So that used to, it's a grey area for me, but so I won't pass judgment on that one. I think as an attacker, you got to go up, and that's part of the game. As a keeper, you're going to get, you're going to get hit. As long as he's not jumping and leading with his arms into the keeper, then it's the way it is. I mean, we had a situation with Orlando and Pittsburgh, where I think it was Valentino had gone into the keeper.
Yeah, keeper was down, got a concussion,
and I would say that was different. That was a hard hit, and the keeper looked to be out with a concussion. Yeah. He wasn't moving, and that ball didn't go straight in. It sort of came 1 or 2 and then went out, then went in. So that one I think was potentially suspect. I'd question that one, but this one, I'm not sure.
Well, next time we can have PDL director Ryan Brooks down here. We can have a round table. I know he'll have strong opinions as a goalkeeper.
We can have the goalkeeper forward debate.
Goalkeepers union, strikers union.
Well, Dayton will be the visitor this weekend as they head to Harrisburg to Skyline Sports Complex for the City Islanders home opener. City Islanders had the weekend off. They were the only team to do so after their 0-0 draw against Wilmington a couple of weeks ago. Looking back on that game, that was a very solid, very entertaining performance. It was an entertaining game for a 0-0 draw. I mean, we had bunch of posts hit.
Yeah.
And if Harrisburg had been slightly sharper in front of goal, they certainly could have come away with all 3 points. What are we looking for from the City Islanders on the field? Because it definitely feels as though there's a lot of exciting attacking talent suiting up for this side this season.
I think so. You look at some of the big names that not only that they've brought back that will help them be solid in defense, and but also going forward, and you're going to have to help me on the pronunciations because I know you got them all down. But the young man there from Benfica is it
Clesio?
Clesio, there we go. I wanted to say Clesio, but it's Clesio. Clesio going forward. I mean, man, he's going to be a guy to watch out there. I mean, for any team out there, he's the guy that you circle on the team sheet ahead of time and figure out, okay, how are we going to deal with him? Because the amount of speed and pace, and it's not just the ability for him to get in behind defenders, but it's his pace on the ball as well that's really going to cause some problems for people. He's really able to fly up that wing and run at people.
The interesting thing for me with this matchup, especially with Dayton coming in, is Dayton does like to press high. They want to play that Dutch style, and they can sometimes push their defensive line a little bit high. If you do that, if you get too high up the field, you're going to be inviting Harrisburg to drop balls in behind, and then you're going to be looking at the number 10 in the rearview mirror, because this kid has got jets on his feet.
He's got electric pace, hasn't he?
He's going to burn past you, and odds are that he's not going to be as profligate with his chances as he was against Wilmington. He's going to start burying some of these.
But with Harrisburg too, it's still a bit of a question mark. Obviously, they came in and I thought they showed well, and it's good. It's a good point on the road against Wilmington in their first match. But they lost so many guys from last year, guys that they lost their goal scorers from last year too. Yeah. So we talked about them hitting posts and having pace and things like that, but it's going to come down to who's going to score the goals. And so I had a conversation with Bill Betcher before the first match, and it's like, well, that's a $10 million question, right? Who's going to score the goals? Because obviously they have a lot of new faces up top.
I'll say this: the same thing happened to Wilmington.
Yep.
They were entertaining. They had chances. They didn't quite take them. And then the next week they came out and scored 4 goals.
Yep.
So there's the potential. I'm
Similar
team. Not saying it's going to happen, but there's the potential for Harrisburg to be very explosive this season if it falls into place.
Yep.
Now, they look very good on the field. Off the field, they're making some really nice moves as well with the planned renovation of Skyline Sports Complex. Add new stands, create a better fan atmosphere. I think upgrade the capacity to 4,500 at the stadium. This is obviously off the field stuff, but this is a big step forward for the City Islanders, and obviously it's great for them that the partnership with the union are helping them push this forward and get things done.
Yeah, they've worked so hard, the ownership group there in conjunction with the city and with the union and the supporters, the whole community worked so hard to keep this team going, and they're at a crossroads now, I think you'd say, Dave, where it's they really get it. They really get where soccer's going in this country, and they get where the league's going, and they want to be part of that, and they want to be a championship team. They want to be a player in this league as we move it forward, for sure. So that requires multiple things, one of which is a key part is the venue. You mentioned the experience, the entertainment experience for the supporters. They've got some fantastic loyal supporters that come week in, week out, but they want more. They need to double the capacity. They've got a venue that's let's face it, needs a bit of work, and so the plans I've seen are very exciting, and they've got a lot of support behind them, and I think it's going to be it's a really cool venue. It's a cool spot.
Yep.
It's totally unique.
Out on City Island.
That's right. Fantastic vista all around. It's a great location, and I think it's a really exciting place to go and watch a game. And they just want to have some really nice upgrades that they're going to make, increase the capacity and the resources and then the capability.
I think there's so many good pieces
they can
in
offer
place there
for the supporters. So overall, the experience is going to be, it hasn't been. I'm not sure if it's totally been rubber stamped yet, or if it's still in the process of it. They're working towards it. Yeah, so they've got some exciting announcements following as well with the union and some of the plans that they want to put in place. So I think really exciting times for the club on and off the field.
Definitely good news for the Sons of Susquehanna. They'll hopefully get their own supporters section like the Steel Army has right now. To talk a little bit more about that, and the City Islanders on-field prospects, we got a chance to talk with their longtime player and now captain, Jason Pelletier. And that'll be coming up just after this break. Well, we're very pleased to be joined now by Wilmington Hammerheads midfielder Daniel Lovitz. Daniel, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Not a problem at all. Happy to be here.
Well, first of all, congratulations on the great win on Saturday. I know going up to Pittsburgh's a tough place to play, but you were able to grab a goal and an assist. Sammy was able to get 2 goals and an assist, and a really good first win of the season for you guys, it looked like.
Yeah, it was fantastic to get a result up there. You always hope you can win on the road whenever you score 4 goals, but they fought hard, and the atmosphere was great, like you said. So it's a good indicator if we can replicate some of that success on the road this year.
It definitely felt as though in that opening game of the season that there was a lot of good chemistry for you guys going forward. There was some really good attacking moves, but you weren't able to finish any of them off. Did it feel good to kind of put away some of the chances that you did on Saturday?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we pride ourselves with our attacking prowess, and we really look forward to capitalizing on a lot of the opportunities we've been creating consistently. So to see a lot of them start to hit the back of the net was great, and hopefully we can replicate that.
Now, you're obviously one of 3 guys right now that's on loan to the Hammerheads from Toronto FC, but you're different from the other 2 guys, Manny Aparicio and Quillen Roberts. You're from North Carolina. You've been around that environment before. You went to Elon, you played for the Carolina Dynamo. Is it nice to be back there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was a great experience to go through the college soccer program at Elon, and then be drafted by Toronto and spend preseason there. But when I found out I was going to be loaned to Wilmington, it was a homecoming of sorts, and it took a little bit of the pressure off me because I knew the situation I was going into, and I was familiar with the team and the coach. So for me, it was more easy for me to hit the ground running and kind of put my nose down, start to work right away. Because I knew a lot of the things that were going on, and it made it a much better transition for me.
How are Manny and Quillen getting on? Are you helping him introduce them to the North Carolina lifestyle?
Yeah, they're great guys. They're both very mature for their age, and they're doing well. It's obviously their first time away from home, from Toronto, and they seem to be acclimating really well, and any little bits of advice or help I can provide them, I do. But they're really good guys, and they've really taken this really well.
What does it mean to be part of the Hammerheads? I mean, you said you knew about the club, you knew Coach David Irving. It's obviously had a very long tradition in North Carolina. Does it feel fun? Is it fun to be part of that now?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, there's no other real professional franchise in the city, so it's a great place to be, especially when the weather starts to get good. We have great support. I mean, it showed at our game against Harrisburg, which is our home opener, but it's just a great place to be, and the level of soccer here is fantastic, and the league is only getting better, just like MLS. So it's really an exciting time to be a part of a team as prestigious as this, and hopefully we're looking forward to having one of the better seasons this season the team's had.
Is there anything you're hoping to accomplish individually this summer, or is it just really just trying to contribute as much as you can to the team and putting in a successful summer?
I mean, definitely. I'm always trying to progress as a player, and now I'm trying to progress as a professional, but I'm just taking all the feedback I got from Toronto and trying to build on that success that I had there, and just trying to become a better all-around player. And, of course, stay in tune with the coaching staff here in Wilmington, but also stay in contact with the people in Toronto. But really, I just focus on getting healthy, getting minutes, and impacting games as best I can. And hopefully those games turn into wins, and we can progress as a team this season.
Now, your first professional preseason, obviously with Toronto FC, they've had a pretty remarkable offseason. What was it like going through preseason where you've got guys like Jermaine Defoe, Michael Bradley coming into camp and getting the chance to practice alongside and learn from those guys?
I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, it was obviously one of the more active and exciting off seasons that MLS club has had in recent years. But just to be getting into it on the training pitch with those guys, and learning from them, and just playing off of their strengths to help you kind of amplify your game was a blessing. And all the other guys at Toronto were fantastic as well. And the level of play was something that took a little bit getting used to with such high quality players coming in. But it was fantastic. The environment there really allowed me to just focus on my soccer and just become a better player. And I value every minute I spent on the field there, and it was just a great experience.
You've obviously got a very good team around you. You've got some very exciting attacking prospects. Quillen obviously looks very solid in goal so far. How far do you think this team can go this summer?
It's going to be interesting. I think that there's a lot of parity in the league, and it's kind of similar to college soccer. Anything can happen on any given day, but you just try to replicate a lot of the things that you do in training. And as a team, we look forward to really maintaining a level of consistency in our performances on a personal basis and on a team basis. I think that's going to be one of the main contributors to having success at home and on the road. Just like any other team, we look to improve on past years in terms of our home record, and then going forward, we already have a great start in Pittsburgh with our road record. So I think the team, we can expect big things and be reasonable about it. But at the same time, you never know. We really just want to strive to do the best we can.
Well, Daniel, congratulations on your first goal in USL Pro and on the win on Saturday, and hopefully we'll talk to you again later this season.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
City Islanders have their home opener this Saturday night, 7 o'clock, against the Dayton Dutch Lions. Preceding that, on Friday night, we have another interleague game between the Charleston Battery and the New York Red Bulls reserves at Blackboard Stadium. 7:30 kickoff there. We got a chance to see how good the Red Bulls reserves are in there earlier this season when they put a really nice 3-0 winning against the Dayton Dutch Lions. For me, though, this is a big game for Charleston there. They picked up a couple of draws. They fell against Orlando last week. They're still looking for their first win, but I think they've got the pieces in place, and at home, this is a game they feel. I think they'll be feeling as though they should win, and they may need to win just to get things turned around, get things moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to need to win, and this is not an easy test. Just like against Orlando, you're playing against a good side that's scoring a lot of goals and moving the ball quickly and well, and you know they've not started badly. Charleston, you know they're looking well organised, strong in the back. They are scoring goals. They're just not getting the results they want, getting the wins. So this is a huge test for them, but I think potentially this could be the game that starts turning it around, getting that confidence, getting the winning belief back in, and they're just going to need 1 or 2 wins, and then they'll be on their way.
And that's the thing about it. They've obviously had a very tricky start to the season. A couple of games against Orlando, game against Richmond, game against the Red Bulls reserves. If they can get a win in this one, it kind of puts some positive momentum going forward, where the schedule, it doesn't get that much easier, because I think there's a lot of good teams in USL Pro this season, but it's not an Orlando, it's not a Richmond, it's something that's a little bit more manageable, and that you can start putting together a 3, 4, 5 game undefeated streak and push your way up the standings.
Yeah, we know Charleston has the talent, and also I'll make the comment too that maybe the Red Bulls should look to their reserve team to help them get some wins as well if they want to call some of those guys up.
Well, we talked about this last time. Eric Stevenson.
Yep.
Bring up Eric Stevenson. Give him a shot. He looked terrific against Dayton. Why not let him get a run out against the Union on Wednesday night?
No, but I agree with you. But to go back though for Charleston, they have the pieces in place. They have so many veterans coming back. Colin Falvey at the back anchoring things. I think some of the other guys like Cordova's are just keeping. They're getting some more seasoning. They're getting better. So
and I think they're starting to find some chemistry in attack.
Yeah.
Dane Kelly came back for the first time this season.
Yep.
He had a hamstring.
Who's obviously so pacey too, and give defenders problems.
So I think if you look at a combination, you look at a combination up front with Juve or Cordovez, and then Kelly to play off them, and you've got that nice size and strength, and then the speed to get in behind any flick-ons or knockdowns that they might provide.
Yep.
That's you'll probably, I'm sure Mike Anhauser has thought about this, and that's a combination he's looking at to kind of provide some offensive punch.
Well, you talk about Diouf. Let's talk about some of those Vancouver loanees that they have there as well. I mean, you have some big names there, so
Yeah.
and some guys that have a lot of talent and a lot of promise. So, and they have quite a few guys on loan too. So they have quite, a number of guys at their disposal. So, whether that impact is going to be felt at the same level that some loanees have either impacted their teams this season or last season as well, that remains to be seen.
I think with the starting lineups we've seen, I think they're still trying to find the right chemistry and the
true.
right base 11 to start the game off. Because once you get that set, then you can start creating a rotation for the second half, where players are starting to, an hour gone, you're expecting to see someone come in. You're expecting an attacking, if you're behind, you're expecting this guy to be an attacking sub. If you're ahead with 15 minutes to go, you're expecting a certain substitution to be made. And when you create that rotation, when you've got a fixed 11, you've got that rotation of guys coming in off the bench, then everyone kind of settles into their role, and then the chemistry develops from there.
I think so. I mean, it's just a matter of working those guys in and getting the opportunity. Augie's got plenty of options at his disposal, so we'll see what the right combo is. I think they'll find it. I mean, it's Charleston; they're going to be okay.
Yeah, I thought against Orlando they looked really strong at times. They moved the ball well, and they created some good chances up front. There's some great combination play with the front players.
Jared Van Schaik and Amadou Sanyang look so solid in the centre of that midfield.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think they're a whisker away. I think someone's going to get on the end of a hiding by Charleston soon, so we'll see who it is.
That's a good point.
Well, Saturday night we get a match between Pittsburgh and Richmond to kick us off. It's a 5 o'clock kickoff, so we got this very nice Saturday schedule. We have 5 o'clock kickoff, 7 o'clock kickoff, 10 o'clock kickoff. Very easy to watch all of the action pretty much.
Yeah, my wife's going to love
YouTube. Well, my wife's going to be out, so I don't have anything to worry about that. But it is an interesting game because these are two teams that are coming off defeats. You've got Richmond, who's already picked up a 3-1 win against Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago. Pittsburgh has to go back to City Stadium for this one. We obviously talked about the defense a little bit earlier, and that's clearly what's got to tighten up. But I mean, Pittsburgh, they were knocking on the door to grab a point the last time these two teams met. It certainly could have been just as easily have been 2-2 as 3-1 to the Kickers. So is this the game where Pittsburgh kind of gets things on track and claims something at least, gets something out of the game to take back to Highmark Stadium, feeling good about themselves?
Yeah, they need to. And I think they're getting closer each time, and I think this could be the one. They'll be definitely looking to just get over the line. They must be so frustrated thinking we're putting all these goals in, we're improving the play, just can't quite get it over the line. Bit of misfortune in some of the games perhaps, but and they're facing a team that's coming off a loss as well. So maybe there's a confidence issue, or maybe you're facing a Richmond team that want to come back and get back to winning ways and bank some goals in. So I think this could be a really interesting game. It's either going to be another high score or it could be a 0-0. We'll see.
I think there's definitely goals in it, just because you look at the amount of attacking talent on both sides. It's very difficult to keep both of these sides bottled up for very long. So I think there's definitely goals in this. I definitely think there's goals in the game between Harrisburg and Dayton, and there's definitely could be goals in the game between Sacramento and Arizona. However, I get a feeling this one may be a little more cagey. I think Arizona, they looked very solid playing 11 on 11. They looked organised defensively. They'll have to make an adjustment with London Woodbury out suspended. But there's obviously the potential for growth here, and some of the things that they did offensively are some of the things that Orange County did offensively with the speed, making runs from midfield, cutting into the sides of the penalty area that Sacramento struggled with a little bit against the Blues. So there's the opportunity here for United to keep the game plan that they've been running, get those runners through from midfield, and put some pressure on the Republic FC backline.
Yeah, they're going to have another week of training under their belt now, and obviously a game as well. But I think just another week of familiarity with everyone, another week of experience will be huge for these guys. And actually, Nicholas, I'll kind of toss it back on you because there are a lot of new names on this and some guys that some well-known college players and some guys that succeeded, and there are some veterans as well. But breaking down sort of Arizona's roster, what names stick out to you as far as guys that you're familiar with that maybe either succeeded on a different level and looking to step up on this level?
Well, I think the guy that everyone should be familiar with is Matt Castle. He was obviously he's the guy who was Riverhounds All-League selection a couple of years ago. Got called up, joined the Philadelphia Union. He's got tremendous pedigree, Red Bull Academy alumni, and he's going to be the guy that I think is going to be the central point of this team. Coach Michael Della Russo says he's the number 8. He's the guy that effectively is going to be playing the Michael Bradley role that we saw against Mexico. He's going to be the guy that links the midfield and the attack.
And he had the R-band the other weekend.
Yeah,
too.
and he's going to be the team's captain as well. The other guy, Jonathan Topp, is a very good, very exciting young striker from FC Dallas. But some of the other guys that they brought in, there was some very exciting wing play. There was some guys that it looks like they're going to play a 4-2-3-1.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have that set up where you've got the wingers coming in. They want maybe some crosses, but they also want them to drive into the penalty area, create some little 1-2s at the top of the box, and create and try and slip the advancing midfielders through. And so there's going to be it's almost going to end up potentially looking similar style to what Orlando City does, where Kevin Molino cuts in, Darwin Sowen comes in.
Yep.
And it creates the width for the fullbacks to come down the flanks and deliver the crosses with 2, 3, 4 guys in the box.
And obviously they'll have that challenge in that they got started a little bit later, so they bring these guys in. You have a coach, Michael Della Russo, who knows the style that he wants to play. Do these guys fit his system? Obviously he's familiar with some of these guys, so you're able to come in, bring in who you want. Can you play that type of formation? Because you're right, if you come out and you stack and you have that way where guys can either penetrate into the box and also the ability to play crosses in, if they are guys that can play that system, it's a very good system to play because they can provide multiple routes of attack, and I think it's very effective.
And it provides very entertaining soccer. Yep. Key guy in this, I'll point out, is Scott Morrison, who was excellent for Phoenix FC last year. Mm-hmm. He's a very good holding midfielder. He'll provide the protection in front of the back four when Castle wants to get forward and join the attack. He also takes an excellent set piece. We saw a couple of really outstanding free kick goals from him last season. So keep an eye out for that. Teams, if they do give up free kicks just outside Phoenix, the Arizona United penalty area when they're going forward, he's a guy that can punish you.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting game. You know, it's going to be quite a tactical game, but
I think it could be a cagey one.
Yeah,
because I think the Republic
are
going to look to maybe sit back a little bit and try and counter-attack, and Arizona's going to be okay with that because if Republic FC is going to sit off, Arizona's going to be okay sitting, possessing the ball, probing and trying to find the little openings.
Yeah, and like you said, they've got the players to cause them problems, and they have good movement up front. And certainly for the first half, up until the booking, they looked a good side. You know, given the new coach and the short space of time they've had to work together. So I was very impressed to see that. The booking obviously changed it, and spaces opened up, and legs are getting tired, and you're playing against a very, free scoring, well organised energy side. So it was unfortunate for the home opener that the result went the way it did, but fantastic home opener. And just about 3,000 people, or just under. The venue looked great. They're going to be doing. They're going to go from strength to strength, certainly on the field, I believe, but off the field as well. They're very exciting. Some of the things they're going to be doing. They're working with the supporters group, the LFR, to build the group, help them.
It was definitely really fun to see some of the pre-game photos that were coming out from Arizona, where you have the owner Carl Eng hanging out with La Fior de Aloha at the pre-game party, at the pre-game tailgate. Mm-hmm. If you can try to find it, check out the LFR's Twitter account, because there's this tremendous video that one of their supporters recorded with a GoPro camera, just the experience of their first game day from the supporters section perspective. Really fun to watch, so go and find that on YouTube. And obviously best of luck to them this Saturday. We go from Arizona on Saturday night to Southern California, where we have the second edition of, are we calling this the Southern California Classico, the USL Pro Classico? What are we calling this? Well,
I like the Southern California one.
The Southern Cal Classico, where the LA Galaxy 2 play host to the Orange County Blues. Blues obviously boosted by their win against Sacramento. Galaxy, kind of an anemic offensive performance last weekend. They'll be looking to set the ship right in regard to that. So this could be a very entertaining game. Galaxy 2 won 3-1 in their first meeting. I think this one potentially could have just as many goals.
Yeah, I think so, and it's great for the Blues. They'll be looking to get some payback, and they'll be starting to feel like they're putting some things together now on the field, so they'll be feeling pretty confident. No less daunting of a challenge to go and to play against the Galaxy side. And they've had what a start, fantastic start, and they had a slip up against Sacramento. It happens. How did they bounce back? they're a professional outfit, they will do, and it's a great learning curve for these guys to learn how to get to the top, stay there, and deal with these kind of losses, because they're not going to have it plain sailing. There's a lot of good sides in USL Pro, and they're going to have to travel across the country, and they're going to go to some pretty hostile environments and try and get points. So all of these games are learning curves for the learning points for these players.
I think a big thing for the Galaxy too is that they had 3 players absent from the squad this week. They're in Dallas for the Dallas Cup with the Galaxy's academy team right now. I believe they're playing in the U20 tournament, taking on some international sides like Stoke City and that. If Jack McBean and Oscar Soto are back, those are 2 very good pieces to the Galaxy 2's puzzle, particularly McBean in attack, and he's a central point that everyone else, the Chandler Hoffmans, the Raul Mendiolas, can play off and kind of act as the fulcrum for the Galaxy going forward.
There's no doubt those guys play a huge role in the success of this side and how they play. And they're sorely missed, when they weren't there, they were missed, that's for sure. But to play at that level with those guys, and then to be on the back end of a 3-0 result when they're not there, that shows how much effect those guys have. But you're not going to have everybody fit and healthy all year, so you need to be able to manage that.
And let's keep in mind too that these guys, there's some pretty big name reinforcements that came in for this match as well too. And so that's always a possibility with the Galaxy, that there could be a big name loanee down there. So it's something for them to keep an eye out for.
Definitely is, and we'll be keeping an eye out on that on Friday night, as typically is when the Galaxy 2 release their loanees for the upcoming weekend's game. As far as this weekend's action, who are the players that you may be keeping an eye on? Who do you think is going to be a difference maker in this weekend's games?
I think going back to talk about Sacramento one more time, and we're talking about some of their scoring opportunities. I thought early on in the first couple matches that Braun was a real key figure for Sacramento, and I didn't feature quite as much in the last few, but I think that he can cause so many problems for a defense up top. He's a lot to handle. He has some pace. He's obviously physical as well. I think that for me, that's a good guy to watch there.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if he can bounce back. He did get pulled out of their game against the Galaxy 2 with what looked like maybe a hamstring injury, and he obviously is big for them. If he's unavailable, then that'll make things not necessarily that much easier for Arizona.
No,
but it certainly will make a difference, and I think it certainly could make things a little bit easier.
Yeah.
How about you, Jake? Who are you looking at this weekend?
I'm sticking with Pittsburgh. I said it last time, and they didn't quite get over the line, so I'm going to say it again and see if they get the joy they're looking for. And I'll be looking at Jose and some of the other strikers and see if they can keep banging goals in, because I like what I see at the moment up front.
Well, for me, I'm going to Charleston on Friday night, and I think this is a big game for them. I'm looking at a guy like Amadou Sanyang, who is such a good player, very important role, playing that kind of shuttling role. He and Jared Van Schaik alternate that and get into the attack. I think he's a guy that is going to be really important on set pieces, but they just need him to control the tempo of the game. If they can control the tempo of the game better than they did against Orlando, then they're going to have a really good chance to score maybe 2-3 goals against this Red Bulls team, get their first win under their belts, and really get the positive momentum going forward. So I think he's an exciting player. I really enjoy watching him play. Terrific engine. So yeah, he's the guy for me for this weekend.
Yeah, I hope Mike and the boys can get the result there. I'll be at the game with you watching that. So
we'll definitely
be wishing them all the best.
Well, make sure that you're following us on all of our social media. Obviously, you're on our YouTube channel right now, so subscribe to us here. Make sure you can watch all of the games live and archived when they're very shortly after. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at USL Pro for goal-by-goal updates throughout the weekend. And then tune into us on Instagram, Facebook, and Google+, where we'll have previews, post-game, news from around the league, and all of that good stuff easily at your disposal. So thanks for joining us this week. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, producer Ian, for putting this together. And thank you for listening. We hope you'll join us again this time next week. But until then, bye for now.